prepared my machine and the color. It will be medium brown from my line of pigments. And the machine, I have already wrapped it in the protective film, and the needle is 1-point needle, meaning there is only one needle, not 3, not 5, but only one needle. We will work with 1-point needle. So we will have to stretch the skin very well and do the strokes on the skin. My machine is held 45 degrees to the skin. The angle is 45 degrees, meaning it's just bent a little bit. It's not 90, which you can do 90, but I find it easier to implant the pigment when the machine is 45 degrees from the skin. So the strokes are just light strokes as you see in the video. You have to feel as if the skin vibrates a little bit. If there is some blood, it's normal, because as we know, our skin layers, they are not connected in a very even way. So even if you would try to implant the pigment in epidermis, which is the first layer of the skin where there are no capillaries, blood vessels, you would still touch some of them, which will be in the dermis, because the layers are connected not in an ideally flat and even way. So you have to lightly touch the skin with the tip of the needle and see how the pigment is implanted. The skin has kind of vibrate a little bit, but you can always check with a Q-tip if the pigment is implanted correctly. Speaking of the length of the needle, it will depend on your pigment. The more pigment is liquid, the longer the needle will be, because it will flow easier. For a thick pigment, on the other hand, you will want to have your needle shorter so that it's easier for the pigment to flow out. So I am starting with the definition of the shape, and in order to do this, I'm drawing a very, very thin, almost invisible line around the eyebrow. This will be our guideline, the border in which we will put the shadow, implant the pigment. So this line has to be particularly light. It's just for you, it's the guideline. We don't need a dark, well-defined line. This will create a fake impression. You shouldn't push too hard. It's very, very light movements. There can even be no color. It can be just a little reddish line because you kind of scratched the skin. It's just the guideline for you. We don't need dark lines here. Notice how I didn't draw anything in the beginning of the eyebrow, because in powder eyebrows we want that front is a little bit lighter. So I will just draw the lines around, but not the really front one. You can just mark it a little bit with some dots, just to know the area which we want shadow. Again, the dots do not have to be some deep dots. It's just a light scratching of the skin. It's enough if the skin becomes a little bit red for you to understand the area of shadowing. I use this technique for the front of the eyebrow in order not to create any lines in the front accidentally. Because if the line is a bit too dark in the middle of the eyebrow, it's still okay, you can blend it with the shadowing of the whole eyebrow. But in the front, we want really very, very light shadow. And now, as you can see, I start to powder the brows. You kind of create some little dots. The tip of the needle has to barely touch the skin. At first, it might seem that no pigment is implanted, but you really have to do many passes in order to accumulate the pigment. Also, another tip, the first pass is so light just to open the skin a little bit so that the liquid anesthetic starts to work properly. Just to remind that we didn't put any anesthetic before the treatment. That's why the movements must be very light in the beginning, otherwise it will hurt the client too much. Here I'm doing the test. I'm checking if the pigment is implanted enough for me to know the borders of the eyebrow. I see that there's enough pigment implanted, so I'll go ahead and remove all the pigment, and I will apply the anesthetic either cream, either it can be spray or gel. Normally it will be written on the bottle when, during which period the anesthetic is used. Is it before the treatment or during the treatment? And here you just saw that the borders are seen. And it's also very important to rub off the residue of the pigment very well, so that you actually see how much pigment is implanted. And the last thing is to cover the eyebrow fully with the anesthetic, and we will proceed with the second side. In this video, we will be working on the second eyebrow. Everything the same, all the same steps. Turn your client's head as it's comfortable for you. Go around her with the chair. You really need stability and comfort. It has to be very comfortable for you to achieve the best result possible. Don't forget to stretch the skin and choose the right needle angle. After having completed the outline, I'm scratching the skin lightly in order to prepare it for the anesthetic. We're doing this very lightly because there was no anesthetic put before.